Hello, this is our bite-sized careers session. I'm Jenny Pelling from Kaplan and I'm joined by Ross McWilliam from Mindset Pro. In this short recording, we're talking about interviews. So you might be going for an internal role, a progression, and you are at the point where you know the interview's coming up and you're beginning to get perhaps a bit apprehensive about it. Ross, how do people best prepare for an interview?
Well, for me, it starts before it starts. So knowing when the interview is, what day, what time, what location. And I know people who've gone for interviews but been late or gone to the wrong place. So get the basics in place first. The second thing is you'll have a good idea what you're going to talk about, not specifically, because there'll be some loaded questions in there, but this where practice comes in. Be very specific in this practice. Get someone to interview you and then practice giving some answers and then critically reflect back afterwards and see how it feels. And maybe use something like we're doing now on video to watch it back again and look at some of the content of the answers, but also critically look at some of the body language and the facial features. You know, on another video, we talked about the facial features from Dr. Paul Ekman that says there's 6,500 ways we can interpret something. So the face is very clear as a window to the world. So practice, going to the right location, know where that is. They're two pretty basic ones.
So I've taken that on board as an apprentice, and I know where it's all happening. I'm organised, and then in the actual interview, it might be with my own employer, and I'm going for promotion. I freeze. My mind goes blank. I'm asked the question, and my brain is scrambled. What do you say to me then to help me?
Yeah, it happens to quite a lot of people. It used to happen to me, and then I started changing the way I thought about it. Rather than seeing the interview as a threat, I saw it as an opportunity, and I couldn't wait to tell people what I knew. I remember one interview I was in Portsmouth, and I got the job, which was good. And he said afterwards, here's some feedback for you. We like you talking, but we loved the specific examples you gave. So when you give specific examples of something, I think that shows that you know the stuff inside out. So giving specific examples is very clear. If you get nervous, I do some breathing exercises before I go in to hold the control and just let the mind go blank. And there's many of those we can do, but simple breathing, holding, releasing is a great thing to do. Now in the interview, if you're seen to be doing breathing exercises, I don't think that'll go too well. But to buy some more time so you can breathe a bit more is maybe ask, can you repeat the question, please? Yeah. And I think by saying that is really good. Or when they ask the question, don't answer it straight away. And if you slow your answer down, it makes you clearer to be understood and gives you that split second more thinking time. So slow it down, ask for clarification if you need to, the breathing exercises before. I think they're great examples of how to come across more clear, more confident.
Absolutely. Good advice. And if I'm in that situation where, I've slowed down my breathing, I've paused, but actually I don't know the answer to the question, or it's a competency and I haven't put at the forefront of my mind got an example that I can share. How do you recommend people respond in that situation?
When somebody throws me a curveball, I always say to them, that's a really good question. It's buying me some more time, and I'll try and give an answer. If I can't give an answer, I might be quite vulnerable and honest and say, actually, you've caught me a bit off balance there. I'm not quite sure, but this would be something that may be suitable for it. And then so you're showing a little bit of vulnerability and not saying the rabbit in the headlights. You're saying, okay, you caught me a bit off guard, but how about this? And that shows that human nature responding to something. And again, if you slow down, listen to that question, maybe ask them to repeat it, it gives you that bit more thinking time. But don't be scared to be a little bit vulnerable. I used to work with some very high performing professionals, and they were so quick to answer, they were so precise, but they're almost like robots. And does companies want robots all the time? Maybe some, but maybe not all. So a bit of vulnerability, I'm not quite sure, but this could be an answer that you're looking for, is a great way to buy that empathy in.
Absolutely, and avoid giving something that's not true as well.
Well, that goes with the turf, doesn't it? If you're not sure, you're really not sure, I would say you've stumped me. I didn't expect that. Sorry, and I'd rather someone do that than go off at a tangent and it's very clear that they don't know what they're talking about, and then they go faster and faster and faster.
Yeah. And another technique sometimes is if you're not sure, is to say, well, I'm not certain about that point, but I very happily follow up in writing to you and give you some examples then. So you can almost extend the interview sometimes, can't you, by suggesting that you provide things afterwards.
Yeah, and again, don't. Yeah, it's a good point, that, Jenny, but don't take the position of weakness. Just say, yeah, if you want me to follow up on that and think about it, that's such a good question. It probably deserves some measured thinking, and
Yeah.
I might say it that way, and I'll
Yeah.
give you an informed answer later on today.
Absolutely brilliant. And then towards the end of the interview, when it's coming to a close, people ask you if you've got any questions generally. What have you heard that's worked well then?
My golden rule is this: always ask a question. It doesn't matter what it is really, but if you say no, no, I've got no questions, it's almost like, in my eyes, not fail, but it's like you've missed an opportunity. So think about this beforehand. If it's money you want to talk about, be direct. But if it's working conditions, be direct. But always have a question ready, And I think it's really important you do that. And the amount of people I've given that advice to, and they've come back to me afterwards and they said, I got the job. I don't know whether it was the question I asked, but it gave them a chance to reflect on me. And the interview panel were looking at them. This person's not done with us yet. He's telling us when we're going to finish. And I like that.
Excellent. That's really sound careers advice. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.